Hey guys, it's Allison, and today I'm going to be going over what I wish I had brought to Japan when I first moved here. I either didn't bring enough of it, or I didn't bring it all. So you can get a lot of things like in the big cities now, and especially online like at Amazon, but still, I really think you should come over prepared with these types of things, especially for the first few months you're here. So number one, it's always on the forums online, and I definitely agree with it, is deodorant. Japanese deodorant it sucks, especially if you're like the sweaty type of person like me. Even in the winter, I sweat. In the summer, I super sweat. I always have to wear deodorant every single day. If you're not the type of person who really needs deodorant or that strong of deodorant, you're probably fine. But I would bring more sticks than you think you'll need, especially this past year when I haven't been able to go home like I originally planned. I really wish I had brought way more just extras that I didn't bring. If you think you're going to use 2, get 4. And the same line of thought is things like Advil and Tums, that type of, just over-the-counter drug. So it's pretty well known that Japanese medicine is a bit weaker than American Western medicine, and some people say you could just do double dose or so if you want to counter that. But honestly, I feel a lot more comfortable just using what I'm familiar with what I know works. I think it's super important to bring a lot of these, especially because when you come to Japan, you're probably going to be trying a lot of new food that you're not used to. Maybe your stomach's not going to really like that. So I'd bring a big one for at home and also a little one, or at least a container for one, so that you can bring them on the go when you're at restaurants and out with friends and things like that. So I mentioned in my last video that I brought a ton of souvenirs that were just complete garbage. They wasted so much space in my luggage. So honestly, if you're gonna bring like souvenirs to hand out at your new workplace, for example, make sure they're not just, crap that you're gonna leave in the back of your closet for a year. And you don't have to bring this. It's just something that people, especially on jet, like to do. But honestly, if you don't, I don't think anyone's gonna like call you out for it or really care that much. So something I really underestimated the importance of when moving over here is how important, how vital it was to bring all of your documents. Every document you could think of that's issued in your home country, you should just bring it. I'm even talking about a copy of your college transcripts in a sealed envelope. While you can order them to be delivered to your address in Japan, it will take a lot longer. And it might be too slow for whatever you may need it for. You never know. I needed it for my driver's test. I even needed my high school transcripts. So when I say bring every type of document you can think of, I really mean bring everything. Your past tax papers, birth certificate, voter registration card. And something I definitely recommend is getting a international driving permit, even if you're not planning on getting a car when you first move here, because this will make it so you can at least rent a car and you'll have the ability to drive should you ever need it. You don't know. Just one of those things you should bring. A lot of people don't when they don't have a car, but do. Another thing is an unlocked phone. So if you're staying here under a year, maybe 6 months, then you probably won't be getting a phone plan here. But if you're staying for a year or over, you definitely want one. And for that, you'll need a new SIM card. Your phone needs to be unlocked. Don't be like someone I know, me, who really thought they had an unlocked phone, and when I went to get a SIM card, it wasn't unlocked. I really thought it was. I thought it was. So really just triple check this, because it is so much harder to do from Japan. I had to wake my mom up at 5 a.m. and call the Sprint people. She was not happy. Another thing, depending on what country you're coming from, you're probably gonna need a power converter. Japan has 2-pronged plugs, so if you have anything 3-pronged, you're gonna need a converter. This is for things like laptops, maybe your PS4 or something. Personally, I only needed one for the laptop. Anything that you have, at least from America, that is 2-pronged will work in Japanese 2-pronged plugs. So it's a lot easier than if you're going to like China or something, for example. So it's well known that Japanese people are just smaller than Western bodies. I mean this in frame, weight, height, shoe size. So starting from shoe size, yes, you might need to bring shoes. I am a US woman's 8.5, and I barely, just barely can fit into double L shoes here. So they don't actually have my size for maybe half of the shoes I want to buy. So if you're anything above a US woman's 8.5, they do have some shoes that you can fit into, but it's going to be a lot harder in general to find like cute shoes. So keep that in mind when you're packing. Make sure you have shoes for every occasion. Of course, this goes for men too. I believe it's about a size 10, and in line with that, socks. There's so many cute character socks and things like that I really want to buy, but you have to check the label when you buy these, and a lot of them only go up to a Japanese 24.5, which is about a US 7.5. So they don't really fit me. Some do, some do. Just something to keep in mind. You might want to bring some socks. It is a lot easier to squeeze into socks, of course, than shoes. But if you do have like, you know, larger feet, I would definitely bring enough socks that where if you lose a few, you'll still be okay. So of course, there's the problem of clothing. Generally, I think shirts are a lot easier to fit into unless you do have, you know, bigger chest. But I would say that shirts and dresses, you're probably going to be okay on. It's really the pants. Seriously, if you're above like, for women, if you're above a US size 12, it's going to be pretty hard to find pants here that will fit you well. If you do already wear a US size small or medium, you're gonna be fine. I wouldn't worry about it then. But if you are a large or extra large or up, I would bring some extra pairs just in case. So I'm gonna talk about things maybe a little bit more specific to women for a minute. Tampons. Okay, there's like this thing online that says Japan does not have tampons. They do. They're in every drugstore. They have tampons. Maybe 10 years ago they didn't, but now they do. So no, you don't need to bring them, but personally, I don't really like them. They only have like one, maybe two brands in the general drugstores here. So you don't really have a lot of options, especially compared to pads, because they have like a mountain of them. But if you do feel comfortable like with one particular brand or style, for instance, I would just don't bring them in the box. Just like dump them out in your luggage and use them to pad the edges. That's what I did. I brought like a year's worth doing that, and I'm about to run out, so I'm kind of sad about that. So definitely bring them if you want. You really don't need pads though. Japan is good on pads. Don't bring pads. Also, underwear. We tragically lost American Eagle Japan, the physical stores, at least for now. They're gone as of last year, 2 years ago. Tragic. Because that was the only place I have found that has good underwear. Yes, there's Uniqlo. Uniqlo's okay, but it's not like the style I like, I guess, all the time. I really wish I had brought more. When I go home, I'm definitely gonna be buying a lot more because I prefer American underwear. If you've seen what a lot of Japanese underwear looks like, you probably know what I mean. It's either hideous or it's incredibly frilly. Same goes for bras. I do like the Uniqlo bras, but if you are maybe above a C cup, it's gonna be hard. And it's not even just the cup size itself, it's the width of the band. If you're above a 34 in the band width, it's gonna be a little bit harder for you to find a good fitting bra. So I would just bring enough plus some extras just in case, because you don't want to be caught without bras. Also, for anyone who wears makeup, foundation and concealer shades here can be a bit tricky. So you may think, oh, I'm very white and pale. I have no problem finding foundation. But honestly, that's not the case. Most foundations, they just don't work for me, even me, because they do have like this yellower tint in them, you know, that's more suited towards Asian skin tones. And it just doesn't work for me because I'm very pink and it looks very noticeable when I put it on that it's not right for me. So if you're living in the countryside, it's gonna be a bit harder for you to find makeup that really matches your skin tone. But if you are in like Tokyo, Nagoya, then in most department stores, they're gonna have a pretty good selection of like foreign makeup brands. Even drugstores, like normal ones, they do have brands like Maybelline sometimes. You really won't know until you get to where you're moving to. But just to be careful, I would bring at least one full bottle. And if you are darker skin colored, they have options here. At least in Tokyo, they do have options, but I don't think it's exactly like a wide variety. I'm pretty sure most people just stock up when they go home. So I would bring, you know, enough to last you until you're planning on going home next. Yes, it exists, but it's not, you know, it's not the greatest quantity. And outside of Tokyo, it's gonna be a lot harder for you to find. And if you have any space left over, do bring, you know, whatever you want. A lot of people say, you know, don't waste your luggage space with like bringing food or bringing things that are important to you basically. But I say just do it if you have the space. I'm assuming you're gonna be moving over here with, you know, 3 suitcases. And if you are doing that, you should have a little bit of extra room just to bring maybe some food from your home country, or maybe just something that's personal and special to you. I wouldn't skimp out on this just because I think it's gonna make your first few months here a lot harder than they need to be. In my American heart, I really like peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, for example. Peanut butter you can find here, but grape jelly is impossible. I have yet to see it ever. They have other types of jelly, but you know, I really like the grape flavor. So actually I did bring some of it back with me the last time I went home. Just things like that, you know, think about what your favorite foods are or what reminds you of home and see if it's feasible for you to bring it with you. There's no point in torturing yourself when you first move over here just because you think, oh, it's not necessary, or I'm sure I can find it, or I can live without it. You don't want to find yourself in a situation where you really want something and it's impossible. Of course, a lot of things today are quite easy to get your hands on with the internet, but it will be more expensive, take longer. Some things are just impossible to find. But you know, Japan is a very convenient country to live in overall, so I wouldn't worry too much about what to bring. Just focus on what makes you happy and what you really think you're gonna need to live your life here, at least for the first few months where it's gonna be a little bit hectic for you. Alright guys, thank you so much for watching. My name's Allison. Please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. I post more content about Japan and my life here as a grad student and English teacher every week. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you next week.